Welcome to part 1 of how to program the kinematic equations into your TI-83 or TI-84 calculator. Before we begin, some things of note. My goes to key is the stow key directly above the on switch. Theta is alpha and then 3. And the variables we will be solving for, initial velocity will be set equal to s in this. Alright, to begin, hit Program, and over in the New tab, hit Create New, and we're going to name this Kinemat, Kinemeat. Once you're in the coding section, hit Program, in the I-O section, option 3, which is Display. Hit Enter. Display start quotations 1: acceleration, that equals, which is second math, which is in the first option, equals a, end quotations. Next line, display again, program I-O 3, start quotations 2: displacement, that equals, again second math 1, y, end quotations. On the next line, display again, start in quotations 3: velocity, that equals v, end quotations. Next line, display again, in quotations 4: initial velocity, or initial v, which we'll say for space sake, that equals s, as stated before, end quotations. Next line, display again, in quotations 5: time, that equals t, end quotations. New line, program option 8, which is pause. On the new line, display again, in quotations, solve for 1 through 5, end quotations. And then on the next line, program the I-O section, option 2, which is prompt. We're going to prompt n. And this will ask us to solve for which of the 5 variables that are involved in the kinematic equations. The new line, if, which is program 1, if n equals 1, which corresponds to acceleration. The next line, then, which is program 2. On the next line, go to, which is program option 0, that will go to a. On the next line, program 3, which is else. In this new line, if n equals 2, which corresponds to displacement. The next line, then. The next line, go to y. On the next line, else, and bring up a new line. If n equals 3, which corresponds to velocity, new line, then, next line, go to v. New line, else. Next line, if n equals 4, which corresponds to initial velocity, new line, then, next line, go to s. New line, else. On the next line, go to t. And on the next line, we're going to get into the acceleration values. So we're going to set a label, which is program 9, label A. The next line, display, in quotations, known variables, and then end quotations. The next line, program 8 again, which is pause. And the next line, display, in quotations, 1 colon parentheses v comma s comma t end parentheses and end quotations. On the new line, display in quotations 2 colon parentheses v comma s comma y end parentheses and end quotations. New line, display in parentheses 3 colon parentheses v comma y comma t end parentheses and end quotations. New line, display in quotations 4 colon parentheses y comma s comma t end parentheses end quotations. And on the next line, program 8, pause. The next line, program in the I-O, second option prompt, we're going to prompt X. In this one, if X equals 1, which corresponds to the variables listed in option 1, then, on the next line, go to 1. In the next line, else. The next line, if X equals 2, which corresponds to the variables listed in 2. The next line, then. Next line, go to 2. On the next line, else. The next line, if X equals 3. Next line, then. Next line, go to 3. The next line, else. The next line, go to 4. Now the next line, we're going to get into the prompting of the extra variables. So we're going to say label, which is program 9, and this is label 1. The next line, we're going to prompt the variables v, comma, s, comma, and t. And on the next line, in the squiggled parentheses, start parentheses, v minus s, end parentheses, divided by t, end the squiggly parentheses. That goes to, which is again the stow key, L1, which is second 1. Then the next line, go to theta. On the next line, label 2. On this next line, we're going to prompt the variables v, comma, s, comma, y. On the next line, start the squiggled parentheses, and then start parens, v squared minus s squared, end parentheses, divided by start parentheses, 2y, end parentheses, and then end squiggled parentheses. That goes to L1. The next line, go to theta. Then new line, label 3. New line, prompt the variables v, comma, y, comma, t. On the next line, start squiggled parens, 2, start parentheses, v, t minus y, end parentheses, divided by t squared, and end the squiggled parentheses. That goes to L1. And on the new line, go to theta. The next line, we're going to do label 4. And then the next line, prompt the variables y, comma, s, comma, t. On the next line, start squiggled parentheses, 2 parentheses, y minus st, end parentheses, divided by t squared, end parentheses, end squiggled parentheses. That goes to L1. And then the next line, go to theta. Now we're going to get into the y section. We're going to do program 9, label y. The next line, display, again, known variables, It's going to repeat itself quite often. Then the next line, pause. New line, display in quotations 1 colon parentheses A comma V comma S end parentheses end quotations. The next line, display in quotations 2 colon parentheses A comma V comma T end parentheses end quotations. New line, display in quotations 3 colon parentheses A comma T comma S end parentheses end quotations. Next line, display in quotations 4 colon parentheses T comma V comma S end parentheses end quotations. On the new line, program 8, pause, and on the next line we're going to prompt X again. Now on the next line, if X equals 1, then on the next line go to 5. Else, if X equals 2, then go to 6. Else, if X equals 3, then go to 7. Else, go to 8. And label 5. We're going to prompt the variables A, V, S. And on the new line, in squiggled parentheses, V squared minus S squared, end parentheses, divided by, in parentheses, 2A, end parentheses, and squiggled parentheses. That goes to L1. Go to theta. Label 6. Prompt the variables A, V, T. And on the next line, in squiggled parens, Vt minus AT squared divided by 2, end parentheses. That goes to L1. Go to theta. Label 7. Prompt the variables A, T, S. In squiggled parentheses, St plus AT squared divided by 2, end parentheses. That goes to L1. Go to theta. Label 8. Prompt the variables T, V, S. In squiggled parentheses, T, parentheses, V plus S, end parentheses, divided by 2, end parentheses, and squiggled parentheses. That goes to L1. Go to theta. That does it for part 1. Refer to part 2 for the rest of the program.